Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back with another episode today. I'm thrilled to have Marta Diffen. Marta, thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here. I appreciate it.
I wanted to just visit with you a little bit about your Rotary experience here in Kerrville. What led you to join the club here in Kerrville?
Well, when I started at Shriner, Mark Chushak was my immediate vice president, and he said, "You got to get involved in the community. We are part of this community and it's part of our social fabric. You got to join something." And I said, "Okay." So I went to a Rotary meeting with a woman that was on campus and a Rotary member and walked out of there and went, "Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe not." Then I went to a Kiwanis meeting and thought, "Nope, Rotary it is." And I joined the club in 2017. And there was a point where I thought, I just don't know. I mean, do I feel like I fit? And I think a lot of people do that. You're like, do I fit here? Is this the right place for me? Do I have something to contribute? What are they looking for? And I really got involved in the service projects. And Christy Vandenberg was the president at the time, and she was very dynamic. And I thought, okay, this can be okay. I've got something I can do here. And about 2 years later, they asked me if I'd be interested in being on the board. And I was like, what does that mean exactly? What does that entail? And they said, "Well, we'd really like you to be the secretary." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that." Little did I know that puts you in line for being the president 3 years later.
Right.
But I got to tell you, it's been a great experience. There's no organization that doesn't have some level of challenge, but between Rotary here locally, the district, and then the Rotary International, of course, which is global, the opportunities to really create meaningful difference and meaningful impact are there's so many of them. There's so many ways that you can be part of that. And service above self is the motto for Rotary. And so many of us live that in our regular daily lives, whether we're part of a club or not. It's just something that's in our DNA. But Rotary acts like a force multiplier. And so, what little I could do, you spread that out with 20 other people, and all of a sudden, we're having a pretty significant impact. And I think it's something that my grandparents would be proud of. And I live a lot to make sure that my grandparents are proud of me and my parents. I lost both my parents last year, and that Rotary Club was a saving grace for me. These people were my family. When things were kind of dark, there were people there knocking on my door and calling me and letting me know that I was going to be okay. Um, those kind of connections, they were really important, I think, in today's world. And getting involved with, we've got veterans programming, we've got first responders programming, we've got children's programming. We try to do things to meet a need in this community. And I could not be more privileged to have served as their president this last year.
What were two or three of your either most memorable moments, projects, or things that just you, as you've reflected back, and I'm sure you have over the past year, that have meant the most to
Mhm.
you?
One thing we did that was new this year that was met with a little bit of, "Are you sure?" I wanted to support the Robotics Alliance. And we were talking before this started about rural initiatives and getting rural students involved in things. And I thought Rotary as a club does a lot for the stock show and rodeo. We've got a lot of kids from 4-H, and Rotary is involved in some of that. And I thought, but what about these students over here that are interested in robotics and STEM things? That's a whole other opportunity. And as a board, we voted to support Kerrville Robotics Alliance, and we brought some of the robotics students to the club to speak. And club members were just astonished at the level of technology that these students already have grasped. And they built these robots and they brought their robots and they were doing demonstrations. And so it was really an extraordinary thing to see the club respond so well to what these students are doing. And the students made a great presentation. So that was one thing that I was like, boy, that really worked well. That was an A+ on that one. And then we do district days of service where every club in the district, and I think there's about 52 clubs in our district. So every club in the district was like, okay, we're going to do something on these days as a club, as a district, and we're just going to make this huge impact. And we kind of struggled. We were like, oh, what's something we can do? What's something we can do? And then we got a phone call from the Hill Country Crisis Council that said, we need help. We need people to come and help us with this storage and garage and helping us inventory what has been donated. So we pulled together a team from our club and from the Interact Club, which is the high school club. And in 4 hours, we transformed this area that these people needed us to transform. And they had pallets of donations from a variety of retailers. And They had pallets of things from Amazon, and some of it was open and some of it wasn't, and some of it was inventoried and some of it wasn't, and some of it they couldn't use, and most of it they could. So we spent about 4 hours over there just really sorting through all of that and helping them. And they were so appreciative of that. And I mean, it sounds like it's a simple thing, but it made a huge difference to that organization. And being able to help people in need, of course, is just something that we're happy to do. We can't do everything, but we really try to say, what's the need in this community and how can we be of service? College scholarships is something that we've done for years. We have a scholarship committee. This year we're going to give out 5 scholarships, $3,000 each, so 15 grand in college scholarships for these local students. And that has impact. That changes the life for the student and potentially changes things for their family. So those are things that I look back on. And I did a section every week for the most part called Why You're Important to Rotary. That was something that we hadn't done before. And every week I'd just pick somebody from the club and tell them why they're important, either because they've been there a long time, because they've been generous with their time and their energy, or because they took on a new project, or just because they're the embodiment of Rotary. And so that was something to be able to recognize individuals through that process and let them know why I thought they were important.
What's the role of the immediate past president at the Kerrville Club?
So for immediate past president, I'm still on the board, but my main role is really to help the incoming president, which I certainly would be happy to do. But also in October, we will need to present a new slate of board members and board officers to the club. So that's my role. I work with the 4 other past presidents and the existing president to determine who's the slate and then make that presentation so that the board and the club have opportunities to weigh in on the people that have been nominated.
I'm intrigued by the demographics of the club in terms of age.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if I'm one of the younger members or not, but what would you say to the young business person at Kerrville or the young professional or just someone in their 20s and 30s? Why should they get involved with Rotary?
You're right. I mean, you've probably seen there's a lot of service clubs that don't even exist anymore for probably exactly that reason. They just kind of retired out. But Kerrville and Rotary International specifically are really making an effort to bring in younger people. And so Rotary used to require that you had to be at every meeting. We meet every week, and it's a 2-hour commitment just about between lunch and the meeting. And a lot of people can't do that. A lot of working people can't do that. Rotary International said, okay, the meeting requirement really is a little bit too extreme. So now we don't need perfect attendance. And then it was like, what are the other opportunities that we can create? So there were satellite clubs created that only met once a month, and they were in the evening, and they were more like a young professionals group. And now there's something called an Impact Companion Club that's being developed. And so that is really meant to just let people come and be part of the service project. And so I've got nieces that are in their late 20s and early 30s, and they'll come out and volunteer for anything. You want them to do river cleanup, they're there. You want them to go help out at a nonprofit organization or do a food drive, or they are all over that. Don't ask them to go to a meeting. I mean, they just won't. And so as we look at trying to expand the membership of our club, the reach of our club, the impact of our club, we have to build it in a way that somebody who's looking for service opportunities is going to feel like that's a great place for me to be and not have some of those other more stringent requirements.
Marta, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time for this episode, but I did want to end by asking if anyone wanted more information on the Rotary Club of Kerrville, what would be the place for them to go?
I would invite anybody to go ahead and come to a Wednesday meeting. We meet at the Croc every Wednesday. Lunch starts at about 11:30. Meeting starts at noon. We wrap up by 1. We also have a Kerrville website for our club. That's kerrvillerotary.org. You can take a look at the website. You can see upcoming speakers. There's a list of all our board members. There's a way to contact us if you're interested in more information. There's a lot on that website that'll tell you a whole bunch about Rotary International and the role of our club. We also have a Facebook page that you can check out just to see what we're doing in the community. We do a lot of postings on Facebook. But they could always reach out to me. I'm mdiffen@shriner.edu, and that's my email address. And so certainly happy to have anybody come as my guest, come kick the tires, see if we're a place that resonates with you and your values.
And I wanted to thank you again for taking the time to visit
Mhm.
with me.
Well, happy to be here. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you asking.